There's a quote from Ram Dass where he said, "The quieter you become, the more you can hear." I think this applies externally as well as internally, but sometimes it's easier to see these things outside of ourselves than inside of ourselves. So I'll give an example. Imagine trying to fall asleep while listening to some ambient noise, whether that's a fan going in the background or a mountain stream nearby if you're backpacking and spending the night under the stars. These noises help us to not hear anything else that's around us. And so that could be our neighbors if we're in a room. That could be an animal creeping up on us if we're in the backcountry and there's a lot of noise. Now, it's pretty easy to see how that's applicable in the real world. Sometimes you don't want to hear these things, and so it's good to have some white noise often. Other times, when you're out in nature, maybe you want to hear these things. But it certainly makes sense that the quieter it is, the more that you can hear. Now, this is also true with our mind, although it might be a little harder to see at first how that is also true. But imagine trying to come up with a new idea. If all you can think about is cookies and how you're really hungry and are ready for dessert and just want to eat those cookies, it's hard to think of anything else. And so if you're so singularly focused on eating or anything for that matter, it's going to be difficult to think of anything else, whether that's a new idea, which is quite often hard to come up with because it seems like these things come on their own schedule and of their own accord. But maybe you're trying to concentrate on some work or a project or whatever. If you're totally focused on something else and your mind is somewhere else, you're not really going to be able to hear those thoughts that you want to hone in on and focus. So that is one example of how the quieter we become, the more we can hear. Now, there's another aspect to this as well, which I briefly alluded to, which is when we're trying to come up with a new idea. Now, these are even more difficult than trying to put your mind on focus. If, let's say, you're trying to read a book and focus on that chapter that you're going through. I know for myself, there have been many times where I go through several paragraphs and then I realize I didn't actually retain a single word from that entire thing, and I have to go back and start at the beginning. This is pretty much always when I'm distracted. Usually it's not cookies for me, but who knows? It could be thinking about what I have to do next in the day, or reminiscing on something that went right or maybe that went wrong during the past day or two. I don't know. But again, these thoughts are much easier to come by or put your attention on when we don't have a bunch of background noise going in there. Doesn't matter what we're thinking about. Could be the day, could be the cookies. It's certainly going to make it filter out anything else that's new that might come through. And so that's why it's so good to have a quiet mind when we're trying to get inspired or have some new thinking. Often, a lot of people, myself included, get their best ideas when they're doing something just very mundane, like taking a shower or going on a walk or anything that just puts their mind into a peaceful mode where they're not actively thinking about something or engaging the mind heavily. That's when you get those aha moments where suddenly some new idea comes to mind that you've been trying to put together for days, possibly months, or even years, and things just seem to connect. Who knows how the mind is able to put all these things together, but it seems like the best we can actually do sometimes is just get out of the way and let our mind do its thing. And so when we've got that quiet state of mind, these interconnected thoughts are better able to recognize each other and piece everything together. And so that is how I often find inspiration that comes to me. Oftentimes, if I'm struggling with a project or some sort of work or trying to come up with any new idea, sometimes I just need to walk away and just put the thing down, whatever it is, and just allow as much space as I can possibly have to just quiet that mind of mine that had been going for too long, trying to overanalyze this thing from every possible angle and just constantly overthinking with all these different thoughts. Then somehow I drop it, I walk away, poof, the answer comes sometimes in the most unexpected of ways, usually at an unexpected time. It's really hard to predict how these things are going to come about. Again, it's often true that the best thing that we can do is just get out of the way. And so those are just a few examples of how the quieter we become, the more we can hear. If you like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or check out some further details on the blog that I've posted from Elephant Journal below. Thank you.